Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Talking Tech. My name is Ron Haskell. I'm the Director of Communications for VA's Office of Information and Technology, and I'm pleased to be your host today. We have a terrific program lined up on a very important topic, and that's the PACT Act. Thanks to the PACT Act, veterans who are exposed to harmful substances like burn pits and Agent Orange are now eligible for expanded VA healthcare and benefits. Today's program is extra important because veterans stand to gain retroactive benefits by filing their PACT Act claims by August 9th. More to come on that here in a second. Over the next half hour, we're going to break down the show into two parts. First, joining us today are Steve Miska, VA's Transitional Executive Director for PACT Act, Kate Hoit, who is VA's Director of Outreach for PACT Act, and Danielle Thierry, who is a digital services expert with me here at OIT. Steve and Kate are going to discuss how veteran eligibility for VA benefits may be expanded by the PACT Act and the advantages of filing your claim before August 9th. Danielle is here to talk about some of the tech behind how VA is making it easier and more efficient for veterans to file and check their claims. In short, there are no better three experts to discuss PACT Act across the entire VA, and that's important because the second part of the show is going to be driven by you. Please feel free to submit your questions that you have into the comment section on LinkedIn, and the team and I will grab them as we're able and answer them together as a panel in the final 10 or 15 minutes or so. So if you got a burning question that you've been dying to ask, unpacked, or anything related to that, there's no better time than the next half an hour. So get those in and we'll process those. So first up, Steve, Kate, Danielle, welcome to Talking Tech. Steve, I'm going to put you on the spot first. We talked about the PACT Act. Eligibility for VA benefits and services has been expanded. Can you please explain how and just sort of a genesis of what the PACT Act is and what that means for veterans?
Sure. Thanks, Ron. And it's a pleasure to be here with you and your audience and my fellow panelists. PACT is a very comprehensive and actually a complex piece of legislation, but we'll try to boil it down here to give the audience members what they need to know. It is comprehensive from the perspective it covers multiple generations, and really it's the result of years of advocacy of Vietnam veterans and other veterans who have been saying we've got these exposures that we think are related to the health conditions that we're experiencing. And so PACT has given VA the tools, the resources, the authorities to address a lot of those conditions that veterans have been bringing up for years. And it gives us a process that allows us to really do the research in that space and to continue to look for new relationships between potential health conditions and exposures that veterans are faced with in the field.
Thanks, Steve. And Kate, I've watched a lot of the outreach that you've done across the country, going to different events around the country. I was thinking maybe you could talk a little bit about who does the PACT Act affect? What are some of the stories of the people that's affecting and how it's benefiting them?
Yeah, thank you, Ron, and thank you so much for having us here today. So in short, the PACT Act impacts the Vietnam, Gulf War, post 9/11 veterans and their survivors. And like you mentioned, I just want to share a few stories that I hope capture the depth and breadth of the PACT Act and why we're here today. So over the past few months, like you mentioned, I've been able to connect with veterans from across the country. Recently, I connected with a caregiver whose 41-year-old husband has stage 4 cancer. Presumptive cancers linked to burn pits. He's a father of 2 and was just told there's no more options for care for him. So he is now on hospice care. I've sat with a Vietnam veteran who has stage 4 bladder cancer, which is linked to Agent Orange exposure. A woman veteran who served in the Gulf War who was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer when she was just in her mid-20s. I've chatted with my buddies from post 9/11 generations who have been diagnosed with asthma after service and I had no idea that was even a PACT condition. So the PACT Act truly adds over 300 presumptive conditions, and that literally impacts those who have served since 1955 until now. And because of that, veterans are eligible to enroll in healthcare if they have not previously, file claims for these conditions, reapply if they have been previously denied. So in short, PACT Act impacts millions of veterans and their survivors, and that's why we're here today.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, the stories of actual veterans and caregivers and how it's affecting them is really moving. So, so for those, this is for Steve or Kate. if a veteran or caregiver, which is a great point that you bring up too, Kate, where can they go to get more information on the new eligibility criteria if they're curious if they're eligible or not?
Go for it, Kate.
My little spiel. Okay, go to va.gov/PACT. So on there, you will find the presumptives broken down by cohort. You can see what conditions are listed. You'll find the list of 300 conditions. Go through that, see if you have anything on there from your current VA medical records or your service records. And you can also call 1-800-MY-VA-411. So that you can do this all online, you can call on the phone, but also we are in the middle of the Summer Vet Fest, where it's VA and community partners are having events throughout the country, and you can show up in person. We'll drop the link in the chat to see if we're coming your way, and you connect with us in person as well. Easy spot to start is va.gov/PACT though.
Great. And so I'll throw this over to you, Danielle. We've done a lot of work on the tech side with va.gov to make this sort of easier and more efficient for veterans. So is there, how can veterans submit a claim on the va.gov? What does that look like for them?
Sure, thanks, Ron. And we can bring up the image of the 526 Easy disability application online. As Kate mentioned, you would go first to va.gov/PACT, and from there you'll find a link to the disability application online. This is the form that veterans would use if they have a new claim or a claim for an increased rating. You can also start your claim online, and it will save as an intent to file once you've started that claim. So if you can't complete the full claim all at once, you have that option as well with filing online. The application will guide veterans step by step through the process of filing the claim. And I would note that, as with everything on va.gov, we are continuing to get veteran feedback on the features, and we are continuing to make improvements to make the applications as easy as possible to use and to get through, and as fully accessible as possible to everyone, including veterans who may be using a screen reader or another assistive device. And then for veterans who have a claim that VA previously denied for a condition that's now presumptive under PACT and covered under the PACT Act, Kate mentioned the list of conditions, those veterans would want to file a supplemental claim. So you'll find a link to that claim also on the PACT Act site at va.gov/PACT. And that's the claim to use if your claim was denied before and you want to resubmit to have it reconsidered.
Great, thanks, Danielle. So we've talked about who might be eligible, where to go to file if you think you're eligible. To Steve and Kate, is there a deadline to applications? And I mentioned at the top that there's an August 9th deadline. So is there an overall deadline? And then can we talk about what the importance of the August 9th deadline?
So the first thing I would say, Ron, is August 9th is not a deadline. I don't think of it as a deadline. There is no deadline. So let's be clear about that. The August 9th is the last date you can file either an intent to file or an actual claim, and potentially get your claim backdated to August 10th of 2022. So it's just an opportunity that veterans have in order to get a claim backdated and get benefits, that starting from the day the law was signed. So there's no deadline in the future with respect to when you can file a claim. And I saw one of the questions was, what's the difference between a PACT Act claim and a regular claim? There is no difference. They're all claims, and we treat PACT claims and non-PACT claims the same way. So there's no prioritization of PACT claims over other claims if people on the line have had claims pending. And that's an important distinction. We do have priorities in that the Veteran Benefits Administration uses, but those are around the types of things you think would be prioritized. Veterans who are terminally ill, right? And can we get them benefits that will ease, the remaining days of their life and potentially provide for their family going forward? Veterans over 85 years of age, homeless, veterans. So those are the types of things that prioritize a claim, but no difference between PACT and non-PACT claims.
Okay, so just to reiterate, August 9th is if you want to have it backdated, but if you miss that date, please still put in your claim. Okay, gotcha. Here's one thing that I've heard feedback on or questions about from people that I served with. Some are concerned that their benefits might be reduced if they submit a PACT Act related application. Is there any truth to that, or possibility that you might be reduced from putting in a PACT Act claim?
I'll take that one. So I've heard that a lot too. And VA's practice is to not look at previously processed disabilities when looking at a new claim. So if you file a PACT Act claim, they're not going to go dig through your files and say, hey, what can we ding this person for and decrease their rating and disability. So in other words, when you submit a new claim, typically only those new conditions are reviewed. And what we've seen with the PACT Acts is you're 32 times more likely to see your benefits increase or at least stay the same. So I get that it can be scary, but still encouraging folks to apply for those benefits.
That's how many times more likely?
32.
That's a strong number to have there. So, okay. Anything, Steve or anyone else?
Yeah, I would just add too, I think, I hear this a lot from especially veterans who are 100% already too. They're like, why should I file? And I tell them, the bottom line is it opens up the possibility for benefits should the conditions become worse in the future, right? But even if they're still nervous and they believe the rumors, right? Tell your healthcare provider, let them know what you're experiencing at a minimum so that you can get the treatment that you need. And, a lot of younger vets, especially too, might have been exposed and they know they were exposed, but they're not experiencing any symptoms. It's important to get that in your records because it could get worse. And like Kate was describing some of those examples, so it's just really important. The other thing is, if you're not going to do it for you, do it for your buddies, right, on your left and right. It helps us with our research efforts in order to link new future presumptives to certain types of exposures and conditions that are presenting. So it's super important. We just appreciate everybody's willingness to work with us.
Yeah, I think that's an underthought of part is the amount of research that VA does for your buddies, especially with things like the Million Veteran Program and other stuff that we do. Danielle, if folks have put in their claim through va.gov, they're sort of curious on the status, they have something that they want to supplement to add to that, is there a way that veterans can easily check on their status, especially using tech?
Yes. So the VA Health and Benefits mobile app is a mobile app that is designed to make it easy for veterans to sign in and do simple transactional tasks in one place, and that includes checking claim status. So for veterans who haven't downloaded the app, you can find it in either the Apple or Google Play Store. You'll then need to sign in with your secure VA account, such as a login.gov or ID.me account. And then you can use biometric login, so fingerprint, Face ID, for a faster and even more secure sign-in after that. So you can set that up to make it even easier. It's very intuitive. The app, again, was built with simplicity in mind. So once you're in the app, you'll see a section for benefits and then a section for claims. And it's pretty simplistic to get to the claims section. You can see the steps completed for each claim, look into the details, and then if VA has asked for any documents, a doctor's report or something like that, you can go ahead and upload that into the app. I do want to just highlight that you can't file a claim on the app. You actually have to do that on va.gov, and once you have that in process, that's when you can check the status in the app itself.
And I'd be remiss if, as the director of comms for IT, I didn't give a plug on the app. Has almost 2 million downloads, right, Danielle? We're close to that. almost 90,000 reviews in the App Store, and the rating on that is 4.8. It's up there with USAA and Amazon and some of the top, sort of apps that people have. So for this purpose or for others, filling prescriptions or anything like that, if you're a veteran already in the VA healthcare system, it's a super resource. Okay, I promised the second half of the show would be for those watching, and we've got a bunch of questions that have come in. So thank you for everyone that has. Please keep those coming in. If producer James could pull up some of the questions that we have here. So if a veteran is not currently enrolled in VA healthcare, what is the first step they should take to change that? Throw that to Steve.
Yeah, so if you're not enrolled in VA healthcare and you would like to get enrolled, I would say number one, come in and file a claim, a PACT Act claim, and then especially if you can go to one of our fairs that are going on across the country. We've done over 100 of them, and then enroll. And you can do that online. You can call. You can, if it's daunting. I know a lot of folks aren't comfortable with technology. Hopefully, not anybody in this audience, but a lot of them tell us they'd rather have somebody help them. You can go to a veteran service organization. You can come directly to us, one of our regional offices out there in every state, and we will help walk you through the process. So anyway, that's the, I would just recommend, once you enroll, we can make sure you get your screening. The law requires us to do a screening every 5 years. And what we've been seeing is somewhere between 41 and 43% of veterans are screening positive for toxic exposure. We've already screened 4 million veterans. So that's over 1.7 million veterans have screened positive. And that opens up the door for our healthcare professionals to be able to get you the quality of care that you deserve.
Awesome. All right, we'll rapid fire these a little bit. What do we have next? I think we probably answered this one a little bit, but if you're 100% other injuries, safe to say that there are the benefits helping your people that you served with, and that you can identify other things in the future. Correct, Steve? Okay.
Correct.
Go to the next one. This is a good one. I see this a lot. People that, there's folks out there that are inferring that you need help from them. They want to charge you usually. Do people need a lawyer to apply for the PACT Act?
You want to take it, Kate?
No. Listen, don't get scammed. Don't let people take your money. So there are accredited service officers who can help you. A ton of VSOs across the country, VFW, VVA, Disabled Veterans of America, Wounded Warrior Project. All of those folks can help you. And VA also supplies a list of accredited folks, including lawyers, who can help walk you through this process. So I know it can look tempting. I know there's a ton of commercials on TV, but don't fall for it. Don't let them take your money. It's a scam. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Go to the next question. So we talked about this, that 35 times more likely, Kate, to be decreased.
32.
32. I'm a comms person. I exaggerate a little bit. Okay. Next question. I'm asking for them faster than James can get them in there.
Ron Esther bringing that up. It's 32 times more likely to have your claim either increase or stay the same.
Stay the same.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of claims will get, a 0% rating on a particular disability. That's still really important because it gets it in your record. And should that, hypertension or whatever it happens to be, become a more aggravated problem in the future, then it's much easier to get that increase in disability level. But more importantly, you're going to get the health care that you deserve to treat that.
Okay. We got about 10 more minutes. Kate, you talked a little bit about about scams. You don't need a lawyer, but what are some other things that we've heard about that veterans want to avoid as far as PACT Act scams? I'll throw it to Kate.
Sorry, I froze, guys. There have been issues with giving your personal information out. People can scam you that way as well. So it's just a continuation of that. Steve, do you have anything else that you've heard of?
No, it's the bottom line is you don't need to pay anybody. These are benefits that you've earned and deserve. And so go to trusted sources. Kate listed the authenticated sources, earlier. The bottom line is all the established VSOs out there are actively helping veterans apply. Go to us directly. We're creating the automated ways where you can apply as well. So definitely just get an intent to file in to the system and buy yourself some time. I saw a question about needing more paperwork and not having it. So get the intent to file in, and then that gives you a stake where you can possibly get it backdated, and it gives you a little bit more time and a breather to get the right paperwork.
We'll go to some of the ones that have been submitted here. One question that we had that came through is if a veteran does not receive care at VA currently, but doesn't have all the outside healthcare records available to them for their claim for the presumptive condition before August 9th, is it best to go ahead and submit, or should they do like an intent to file?
I would suggest an intent to file at a minimum. It's probably better to have all the paperwork when you do, and a good way to determine that, right, is to go sit down with a VSO and have them go through your record, talk to them, and they can give you might not know of some of the paperwork that is required, and so they can help you develop a plan in order to get that claim in.
We have a couple on AFFF. I'm glad those folks asked. I was a firefighter in the Navy. I wasn't touching that stuff every single day. Does PACT Act cover cancer or from the PFAS or AFFF, even for like a sailor that's deployed out to sea? Would they qualify as being in the region potentially? So
PFAS, we're doing a ton of research on this, as is happening across the civilian sector as well. It's a major problem in our country in particular, and globally as well. But there is a main effort to really better understand that, and it's going on government-wide. The bottom line is a lot of cancers are covered in the PACT Act. And so if you are worried that you have those conditions and you've had exposure, then I would recommend get it checked out. Come and get screened, file a claim if you feel that it's going to be something that you're worried about in the future.
Okay. One thing that had come up, Danielle, is, and you talked a little bit about this, about the multi-factor authentication, things like that. Are there privacy protections if you're using the Health and Benefits app to check your claim, or on va.gov? You talked about how there's a login and things like that. What do we do to protect? I know sometimes it seems a little daunting to get logged into the system or something like that. We do a lot to make that easier, but there are some things we have to do to protect privacy and data and things like this. So what sort of protections do we have in place for people's data and stuff like that?
Absolutely, yes, yes, and I again, as with everything on the site and the app, there's a team of people continuing to find ways to improve and make those things easier to also protect personal information and data while also not in making it cumbersome. So we have the secure accounts, like I mentioned, login.gov meets the modern security standards. We have biometric login in the mobile app, which is an even more secure way of protecting your data.
Got an auto robot call claiming to be the VA, calling veterans to set up a date and time to call them back. Are we doing that sort of outreach, or is that likely or potentially, how would VA reach out to people directly in this scenario? Would it be calls like that? I'll throw that to Steve, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question if we're using robocalls like that. The bottom line is our numbers are on our website. Kate just gave you the number, 1-800-MY-VA-411. If you call that number, that's the number to get through to us. And you can start the claim process that way or go online and do it right from the website.
Yeah, and Ron, to follow up on that, most of our outreach is through Gov delivery, so official emails. We have sent out recently, just a couple days ago, sent out 1.7 million hard letters to veterans who may be impacted by PAC as well. And sometimes we do texting. So not sure about the robocall. I would be a little bit suspicious. Again, my best advice would be to go down to your local VA or find a VSO to connect with to help you out.
Great. Get time for one or two more. This is an interesting question. They say their father passed in 2018. They think it's connected to potentially toxic exposures. Is there a way or a reason to to file a claim, like on behalf of his or her mother, or is there any policy or anything around that we can do, that veterans can do?
Yeah, absolutely. The PACT applies to survivors as well. And let's say her dad filed previously and might have been denied, but the conditions that he filed for are now considered presumptive. And so if that's the case, we've got those records that we can review. And but I would definitely recommend file on behalf of your mom. We've got organizations out there that can help in that space. TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, they are wonderful, and they have been helping a lot of survivors apply for their PACT benefits. They have incredible leadership, and they're just a real value added in the ecosystem for veterans and members of the military and their families. And so that's definitely an organization that can help in that space.
Awesome, indeed, yeah. Okay, last one. I think this is a good one as well. A lot of great questions today. Somebody filed a claim in 2014 originally. Now PACT Act is passed and there's new presumptives on the list. Do they need to file a new PACT Act claim, or should they do a supplemental claim? Is there any advice around that for somebody that they think the stuff is in the original claim? Do they need to follow up with a new claim or a supplemental?
So a supplemental claim is basically, let's define what that is. If you have filed a claim at any point previously, then the next claim and any future claims you file are considered supplemental to that original claim. So a PACT claim would, by its nature, in this particular case for this individual, be a supplemental claim. So yes, I would encourage them to file a claim, and whether they do it online or whatever with a VSO, it'll be considered a supplemental claim. And if those conditions that they filed for previously are now presumptive, that's a good thing, because they don't need to. What presumptive means is you don't need to prove that the reason you have the condition is due to your service. We now have, the law gives us the ability to assume that it is by virtue of your service. And so you just need to prove, okay, yes, I've got this condition, your doctor verified it, and then file your claim.
Awesome. Okay, we're at the bottom of the hour. We got a bunch of questions in, so thank you to Steve, Kate, and Danielle for joining us. One last plug for Kate. I'll give you as the outreach PACT coordinator. Where can we go again to get more information and file a claim, and what's the phone number?
Yep, it's va.gov/PACT, and it's 1-800-MyVA411. And please share this information with your buddies.
Yep, indeed.
Let's get the word out.
Yeah, and if we want to get backdated claims by the 9th, but please, if you're not ready or you don't get around to it, please still file your claim. We want to get those people in and get the care and benefits that they've earned, of course. We'll do more as far as talking tech on this. We had questions in here about automate claims, and are we going to be able to process all these and all that kind of stuff? The answer is yes. We are doing a lot to automate claims on the tech side and a lot of different things here. So we'll talk more about that in this space in a future episode. But until then, we appreciate everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future. And again, thanks to Steve, Kate, and Danielle for another super episode of Talking Tech. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Everyone be well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.